This is Charlie Mullins, a multi-millionaire who built an empire and now spends his time having
some amazing holidays, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, private jets, flying backwards and forwards.
Oh, and by the way, he's a plumber. And he isn't alone. I don't know when, but at some point, something changed, transforming humble tradespeople like HVAC technicians and plumbers from middle-class, blue-collar workers into glitzy millionaire enterprises. To find out what's fueling this massive shift, specifically in the US, I plunged into company websites, snaked my way through consumer studies, and followed the cash flow like a leaky pipe. What I found out made me look at plungers in an entirely different way. Historically, trades like electrical, HVAC, and plumbing were typically small, family-owned businesses. In those days, running a trade business had a different rhythm. To fully understand this, I need you to put yourself in the shoes of a trade person for a second. Just roll with me. Imagine it's 1985. You're an independent contractor or maybe even a sole proprietor running a business that's likely been passed down from generation to generation. Let's say you even own Viewers Plumbing in a small town. It's just you, maybe a nephew, and a van with your name on it. Neighbors know you as the go-to person when there's a problem, and you rely on word of mouth and repeat customers supported by long relationships. You charge by the hour and make around $22K a year. You're regional. You like what you do, and expansion isn't the goal. You just want to keep a good reputation and make a reliable living one job at a time. But for all its reliability, trade jobs like plumbing carried a mixed reputation.
You'd be surprised how many customers treat me like snot. Like I'm a goddamn plumber or something.
By mixed reputation, I mean it was essential work, but seen as dirty jobs without the white-collar prestige. This, of course, fed stereotypes that tradespeople were uneducated or had limited options, with many seeing trades as fallback jobs. The media didn't help it either, often casting tradespeople, specifically plumbers, as comic relief. Far from the glitz of international trips, designer clothes, and purple Rolls Royces, something clearly changed here. The first clues can be traced back to a small company that quietly launched decades ago. In 1989, a small HVAC and plumbing company named Sila was founded in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. With just a handful of technicians, a few trucks, and a mission to serve their local community. For years, Sila's story unfolds gradually. Slow, steady growth, satisfied customers, one neighborhood at a time, yada, 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 right? Now we're at that moment. You know, the part of Jurassic Park right before it gets crazy and Sam Jackson tells you to
hold on to your butts.
Because in 2021, Sila didn't just expand, it exploded. It began with a single acquisition in New York and Connecticut. Then came a move into the National Capital Region. Over the next 3 years, Sila acquired more than 25 companies, expanding into 12 states and growing from a small operation to employing over 2,000 plus team members. So a company starts as a small underdog and sees explosive growth. From the outside, it's a Rocky level triumph, but there's still something missing. How did a local HVAC company become a multi-state, full-service empire practically overnight? Where did all of this money come from? All right, pause it. I need to take a moment. If there's anything you take away from this story so far, it should be that big wins don't just happen by chance. There's always a strategy behind the success. Our Entrepreneurship Trends Report, built on insights from 500 plus small business owners, breaks down actionable strategies you can use right now, like having a backup plan and how to use free tools to simplify your work. Just click the link in the description to get started. All right, back to the video. It turns out the driving force behind this rapid growth is a shift in who's paying attention. In 2021, Sila was acquired by the private equity firm Morgan Stanley Capital Partners. And this wasn't an isolated case. Others were also spotting the potential in the trades. Private equity firms like Alpine Investors, Griffin Investors, and Morgan Stanley Capital Partners have been watching and investing in the home services industry, building portfolios of what they see as recession-proof companies: plumbing, HVAC, and electrical services. Since 2022, private equity has bought up nearly 800 HVAC, plumbing, and electrical companies. Why this industry? Well, the appeal lies in a few key factors. First, people will always need heating, cooling, and running water, essential services that stay in demand no matter the economy, making this a steady, growing, and highly profitable market. Secondly, residential home services have a stickiness factor that private equity loves: recurring revenue. Money, the green, the guac. You know what I'm talking about. Meaning it's not a one-time purchase. Once a company earns a customer's trust, they keep coming back. And that opens the door to them saying, hey, if we're doing your plumbing, we can also handle your heating, electrical, or even your pest control. Thirdly, these private equity groups are not looking for risky turnarounds. For groups like Griffin Investors, an established track record is absolutely key. And the same goes for the companies they acquire. It goes like this. A successful company gets swallowed up by PE. Then it's transformed into a platform company, supercharged with money and resources. It then gets sent out to buy up even more small successful companies. Each new doll they pick up strengthens the whole set. But wait, the strategy doesn't just end there. After boosting a successful company, there's still one final step left. Within 3 years of the acquisition, as of November 11th, 2024, Morgan Stanley Capital Partners sold Sila Services to the private equity unit of Goldman Sachs Alternatives. While the company didn't get chatty about the financial terms of the deal, estimates say Sila Services was valued at $1.5 billion. So let me get this straight. Private equity is this high-powered, white-collar world full of ex-bankers and MBAs. Meanwhile, in the trades, mom and pop shops aim to keep the tradition alive and pass their businesses down to family. But instead of passing it down to family,
they're handing them over to private equity firms, basically strangers in suits, who are there to flip a profit and don't really care about any kind of legacy.
And everybody's okay with this? Did I miss something?
Acquire, expand, sell, repeat. It's clearly a strategy that works, but there's another side to it. One about who might be getting left behind in the process.
There are certainly plenty of cases of customers who say, look, the company I use got sold, and all of a sudden they're sending in service techs who don't know as much.
Right. This possible decline in quality isn't unique to home services. To see where this all could lead, look no further than another industry reshaped by private equity.
More than 70% of the nation's nursing homes are now owned by for-profit companies, often backed by private equity or real estate investors. New research is raising troubling questions about their quality of care.
One major example is the Carlyle Group's $6.3 billion takeover of HCR Manor Care. Just 3 months in, reports exposed a pretty big problem. The drive for profits led to significant cost cutting at the expense of patient care. When a private equity-backed company like Sila expands, it professionalizes the industry by standardizing, cutting costs, and automating. But that kind of scale can also squeeze out smaller competitors. Mom and pop shops like Viewers Plumbing now have to contend with big players who can undercut prices, streamline marketing, and bundle services. While smaller businesses struggle to keep up, an industry that was pretty much once regarded as a punchline now sees serious interest from younger generations. And why wouldn't they? Graham Weaver points out that anyone with entrepreneurial ambition should seriously consider the trades, given the strong investor interest in the space. He told the American Investment Council, you can build a business that's going to be worth 10 to 30 million and have a ready list of buyers to sell it to. For those who didn't know, unclogging toilets, fixing boilers, and installing air conditioning units can have a major impact. So with this new wave of interest and investment, where do you fit in? It all comes down to what role you want to play. You could be the business aiming to grow, looking for that great big payout from a private equity firm. In this case, each PE firm is looking for different things, but generally speaking, you'll need to focus on 3 things.
Location. If I had to draw it on a map, I would say you draw a line from Seattle to Houston. Each kind of group out there has their own kind of geographical bias, what they prefer. Profitability. We're looking for kind of that profitability margin in the kind of mid-teens. That's kind of like the sweet spot. Strong brand. We really like companies that have been in the area for a long time. We look at your percentage of marketing to revenue. If it's below 5% and you're still growing, you've got a strong brand.
And while a strong brand is essential for attracting big PE interest, not everyone is cast in the same role. Maybe you're watching this video right now and you're just the customer, cautiously riding the wave of quality shifts and rising prices as the industry changes around you. No matter what your role is, each one has its place, and each one drives a cycle. The question is, where do you see yourself? If you want more surprising success stories, watch our video on how Milwaukee, Wisconsin has 32 gas stations that serve
hot pizza. And I'm here to figure out why the business is booming here and across the country and how you, or even I, could get into it.
It's another look at an unexpected business that turned into a complete powerhouse. Don't forget to check out our Entrepreneurship Trends Report and subscribe to the Hustle newsletter for more stories just like these. You'll get the inside scoop on how everyday businesses are cashing in and how you can too.